So what has my coach been up to? Is that right? They put out another Resurrection Ranch, formerly known as Resurrection Ranch video. Is that right? And this Resurrection Ranch video had largely nothing to do with resurrection or a ranch. Is that right? Okay, and so was Megan rambling on for about 15 minutes or so during the video? Is that right? Okay. Now, we do know that on a couple of Resurrection Ranch videos ago, they merely provided an update. They provided an update for the Ready Tim Riders. The update basically said that we're not doing anything. We're currently not doing anything as far as this raggedy camper goes. But they gave you guys an update. Yes, we've been so busy on the mobile home siding. We've been so busy, so dedicated to putting up shed siding on our house that we have not been able to divert any energy toward this supposed happy camper. So they gave you guys an update because you guys were curious. Even though you could see that camper off in the distance on their videos, on their IAG videos, some of you guys were apparently more curious about what's going on with the camper. Why is it being neglected? Why does it appear to be condemned? Why is it being overgrown by weeds? And so they gave you an update. And I guess they followed that up with a video talking about what they learned from the 3 campers that they bought. Yes, except for the fact that they only bought 2 of the campers. Yes, except for the fact the only campers that they bought was the one that was supposedly $2,700. And then the one that was $200 or $260 or $250. Like, why is this story changing? Why is it changing by the video? Okay, because for a long time, Tim said it was $200. And then when he was filling out the title, he claimed it was $260. And then I guess lately he's been posting that it was $250, but Megan still talks about it being $200. Yes. And if Megan says it was $200, and I have to decide whether I'm going to believe Tim, my coach, or whether I'm going to believe Megan, his complicit partner, his partner in, it's not a crime to mislead people. It's not a crime to deceive people. Not necessarily. Okay. But whose word am I going to believe? Megan says it's 200. Tim says it's 260. Then he changed it to 250. There's no telling. Yes. But I understand on this third recent Resurrection Ranch video, yes, Megan was simply talking about the fact that there is something that's important, just as important as reading and writing. And I'm like, okay, now listen, it's becoming more and more apparent that you spend much of your time within the reaction channels, within the reaction spaces. Yes. Okay. And so, you guys are getting plenty of feedback, plenty of commentary about the lack of education, the miseducation of those boys. Okay. Megan trying to serve as a homeschool teacher when she's clearly unqualified. Bear in mind, many homeschooling parents, when they start out, they're quote unquote unqualified. Okay. But they do research, they study, they prepare, they get better. And then they're ultimately effective for their children in homeschooling. Yes. Okay. But unfortunately, in Megan's case, because she carries such a large burden, okay, because she has so much on her plate around that fictional farm, Megan has been failing miserably with her homeschooling experiment. Miserably. Okay. But I guess in this particular video, Megan is saying that just as important as reading and writing. And I'm like, okay, well, there's nothing other than maybe God and family. Okay, maybe God, but I'm not even sure family is more important than being able to read and write. Okay, your ability to read and write is going to dictate your success in life. Yes. Okay, and let's say you're handicapped, you have some type of handicap or disability with your reading or writing ability. That happens all the time, yes. And then let's say you take on a family of your own and you have children of your own. You need to serve as an example for those kids. You may have to read to those kids, yes. Certainly at some point you have to do some level of writing. And so I'm not sure that there's anything, okay, that's more important than reading and writing. And other than God, there's probably not anything that's just as important as reading and writing. But I do understand that they were trying to indicate that just as important as reading and writing is literacy. And I'm so glad that Tim caught that. I'm so glad he caught it and he corrected it once the video got to his editing room floor. Because they said, well, not just literacy, we're talking about financial literacy. Okay, and now we do understand, supposedly, as far as those boys go, supposedly, you've been teaching those boys about financial literacy. Yes, you've been teaching 5-year-old Noah, 7-year-old Titus, and then 9 or 10-year-old, maybe 11-year-old Junior about financial literacy. We do understand that you guys apparently see fit. You think it's suitable, you think it's reasonable for you to skip over their traditional, their standard literacy, and then somehow go straight to financial literacy. Okay, all right. But I understand Megan, in her video about financial literacy, she talks about these campers. Once again, she talks about these previous campers. And she talks about sometimes you should be receptive. You should be willing to take on a low-cost piece of property in the form of a low-cost piece of trash camper, such as they have. Yes. And she's saying, well, sometimes if you just purchase a $200 camper, it's going to be a more sound financial decision for you than buying a camper that actually sleeps more than one couple. Okay, if you have kids, if you have 3 or more kids, okay, she's saying sometimes it's going to be more sound to buy that $200 or $250 camper than to get a camper that's sizable, okay, that's suitable for your family, okay. But she talks about this one camper, I guess the first camper, that was, I guess, $15,000. I guess it was $15,000. And now Megan already let it slip in the previous video that they were on a lease to own agreement. Okay, they were on a rent to own contract with that first camper, that $15,000 camper. Okay, and even in that same video, she was mixing the term ownership with the leasing. She was mixing it together. And I'm like, hey, leasing something is not ownership. Yes. And we talk about financial literacy. Okay. A financially literate person would not claim that they own something that they're leasing. They would not claim to own something that they are renting. Okay. You can tell your family and friends that. Okay. And maybe this is the correction, is that you told people that you own that camper when you're truly only leasing the camper. Yes. Okay. But Megan talks about, well, we were on a payment plan. Okay, for that camper that we own. You never owned the camper. And then, of course, Megan also let it slip, or Tim let it slip during his editing, the fact that they actually they terminated that lease agreement because the actual owners of the camper, they weren't willing to come out to make certain repairs based upon Tim's timeline. Yes. Okay, and so now when you own something, you own it until you sell it. All right, so this is just a reminder, a refresher for you. When you own something, you own it until you sell it. Okay, but now if you're renting something, you can break the lease. And that's exactly what you guys did. Okay, and I know you heavy Tim followers are saying, hey, Captain, what are you talking about? Don't be exaggerating about our pastor. Don't be exaggerating about our queen. Yes, but they said it. They said it in their video. It came out of their own mouths. Yes. Okay, out of Megan's mouth specifically. Okay, because if it had come from my coach, he would try to twist the truth a little bit more. Okay. All right. But Megan already indicated that they broke that lease. They ended that agreement because the actual camper owner was not servicing or doing maintenance up to supposedly their standard. Yes. But now she's back talking about owning that camper. And I'm like, Megan, Literate folks, they don't mix terms. Yes? They don't mix terms. All right. So you talk about how financial literacy is just as important as reading and writing. What about the truth, Megan? How important is the truth? Hmm? Is the truth just as important as image and perception? Or is the truth more important? Hmm? But all right. Have they been up to anything? Anything else? Nothing really? Well, all right. Welcome back to the end game, where today I'm going to give my reaction to the recent IAG Farms trailer trash. Hmm? Trailer trash. Trailer trash. Where Tim talks about being up on a ladder to some degree. I'm going to give my reaction to that video here. All right, so early in the video, I guess we see Tim walking through the living slash dining slash kitchen space. All right. And he's trying to force Benjamin to give him a high five. And of course, Benjamin's like, I know where those hands come from. Okay, I know what those hands do. I know what they get into. Yes. Okay, and then So Benjamin, he doesn't want any part of high fiving with the cursed hands. Yes, he doesn't want any part of that. Yes, the poop stained hands. He doesn't want any part of that. Yes. But then when Benjamin tries to ignore giving a high five to his dad, Tim said, well, no, you're going to be subject to the hands anyway. So let me go ahead and rattle your head. Let me go ahead and rattle you with these grubby hands anyway. Yes. But also while he's traveling through that space, we get a glimpse of, I guess, one of his spiritual mentors. Yes. Some at life.church broadcast, YouTube broadcast, or what have you. And so I guess we see where Tim is getting his spiritual covering from. Yes. And of course, I can't prejudge that guy that's on the screen. I don't know what his ministry is based upon. Yes. I'm not sure what his style of delivery is. Yes. But now we can understand a little bit better. Yes. Tim says he doesn't go to church, but he watches church. Okay, and bear in mind, most of these guys are quote unquote inspirational slash motivational speakers more than they are ministers. Okay, like I said, I don't know anything about that guy that's on the screen, but clearly Tim is proud of him. Yes. Okay, he's proud of the direction. He's proud of the expression and the articulation that this gentleman has. He's proud of the influence that this gentleman has on his apparent congregation. Obviously, Tim wants to be more like this gentleman. Okay, otherwise he would not have displayed him. Yes. Normally, when he shows his screen, all we see up there is IAG Farm videos on loop. But now we see a supposed minister. We get a glimpse behind the curtain. Yes. Okay, and so we know Tim. He certainly watches plenty of motivational speakers. He tries to mimic what he sees, and obviously his delivery, his experience, his motives are not the same as those guys, and so it never comes off the same as what he's saying. But he thinks if he just watches it, then he can pick up his camera and he can go ahead and he can display it. He can model what he sees on the camera. Yes. But all right. Also, while Tim is passing through this space, this living, dining, kitchen space, of course, we notice that the windows are steamed / fogged over. And then when he gets ready to leave out of the storm door, that door is also steamed and fogged over. And I'm like, okay, why in the world? Is this yet another reminder of the fact that they're living in a sardine can? Yes. Why would the windows be fogged over? Okay, if it was ample space, then there would be increased circulation, increased ventilation in that space. Okay, but to fog over all the windows in the house simply because Megan was brewing a pot of coffee would imply that there is definitely a fault in the design, in the ventilation within that mobile home. But show us more, Coach. Show us more.
Holy because I am holy. You must be holy. You didn't know any better back then. Don't act into bring whatever your desires are.
High five. High five.
You actually have higher
High five.
as a follower.
No, you don't give me a high five. You don't give me a high five, but what's up, man? Good morning.
You didn't say be happy in all you do, but be holy in all. What does it mean to be holy? The word in the Greek that's translated as holy is the word hagios, and it means to be set apart. It means to be different. It means to be wholly dedicated to God.
Tim talks about how the Lord put a word on his heart. Okay, much like when Megan says that the Lord told her to do this, or the Lord told them that they should have this particular vision, we understand when Megan refers to the Lord, she's referring to Tim. Yes, and so I guess this morning, when Tim is talking about the Lord putting a word on his heart, we can only assume, we can only surmise that when he talks about the Lord, he's talking about the gentleman that we saw on the screen a few moments earlier. Yes. So Tim was motivated by what he saw, yes? And Tim says the word that was placed on his heart by that television minister was defy. And I'm like, okay, coach, isn't that what got you locked up years ago, yes? Isn't that what led you to be out there in the streets ganging and banging and stealing and robbing and snatching purses and kicking down doors and doing? Isn't the word defy? Okay, isn't you being defiant of the law? Isn't that what got you in trouble years ago? Okay. All right. And so now he's talking about, well, he's about to do the start on the siding. And I guess he's saying now that we're in real time on this trailer, he says he finished up all of the OSB. I don't know if that means that he's completed the weather wrapping. So if he didn't say it, he didn't do it. Okay. And so, but he talks about, well, when he looks at this structure, it kind of reinforces this term defy. And so he's talking about defying the odds. Okay, being defiant against what others tell you you can't do. Being defiant against what others tell you you should not do. Right? And so, like, I know, we know my coach, he has certain issues with insecurity. We know he has some attention deficit issues, yes, that many adults have. Certainly many children have, but many adults have it as well. And we do know that he has some certain anxiety issues, yes? Okay, and we know from time to time he's hearing those voices. And so when he's talking about define what somebody tells you can't do, I'm like, Tim, you're isolated from the world. You have no friends. You've separated yourself from your family. So who are the people that are telling you that you can't do something? Okay? And so in this case, I guess you're being defiant against yourself. Well, all right. And then he's talking about being defiant against what somebody says you should not do. Yes. And so I'm like, well, I'm sure some people told you that you should not waste money on putting shed siding up on your primary residence. Yes. I'm sure some people told you that you should not be proud of putting shed siding on your home and trying to mimic or copy or compete with your shed/shack/ what you call a barn. Yes. I'm sure some people said that. Yes. Okay. In your comments. And I'm sure it wasn't any actual real world human beings. I'm sure that it was just your supposed YouTube/IAG family members. But you talk about being defiant, coach. Defying and being defiant. And I'm like, against who? Against who? All right. But tell us more. Tell us more, coach.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another edition of IAG episode trailers, sneak peeks, peekaboos, hints, and all those things. But I want to share something with y'all because the Lord just put a word on my heart for today. And the word of the day for today is defy. Defy the odds. Be defiant. Like, don't let anything stop you from being the best version of yourself that you can possibly be. And as I got done, I actually just got done with all of the OSB ripping down all of like the old tin on this house behind me. And it's like, I walked around this place this morning and I'm getting ready to start putting up the LP siding. And I walked around this place this morning and I just like the word that just hit me was defy. For real. It's like when they tell you what you can't do, defy. It's like when they tell you what you can't become, defy the odds, but build up this grit inside of you that's defiant. According
Before Tim starts stuttering with the tut, before he claims that he was anointed by God, tut. Okay, come on now. All right, why are we stuttering? Okay, if you're anointed in some fashion, yes, if you're gifted in some fashion by God, okay, you should be able to deliver the message clearly to where we can understand it and follow it. Yes, succinctly, not with the tut, yes. But he talks about how the mobile home is the physical representation of the tenderness of God. Okay, now forget about the fact that the exterior went neglected for 2 years. Yes, with that crusty old outdated siding, that tin siding, yes. Forget about the mold and mildew, the algae that was collecting on one end of the home when, you know, that you just said needed pressure washing, but yet for 2 years you never got around to it, yes. Okay, and so, but you're trying to apply this is the representation of God. Is that right? Is this the representation of abundance? Okay, considering that your boys are crammed into bunk beds in a single bedroom. Considering that little Benjamin's crib is jammed into the homeschool classroom. Is that abundance? Considering that 10, 11-year-old oversized junior is still jammed underneath that supposed card table, that infant card table that they use as a supposed dining room table. Is that abundance? Is that abundance? Okay, you adding on a porch and trying to use that as a substitute for true living space. Is that abundance? And so how does this raggedy old mobile home represent the tenderness of God? Yes. Okay. And so now you talk about defying the odds. Yes. Okay. And you talk about, well, some people say, well, you should just let something just crumble. Okay. Just let it just crumble, let it shrivel up and die, et cetera, et cetera. Yes. You talk about, well, when you were out in the streets doing your dirt out in the streets, you know how some people said, well, I guess just let him go. Okay. We tried to speak to him. We tried to defer. We tried to deter him from his actions. We told him where his actions would lead to. Yes. Okay. And of course, we know, Tim, we know you defied the advice of your family and friends. We know you defied their advice. Yes. Okay. And then so you talk about the fact that because you defied that, you're the person that we understand that when you defied, okay, the advice, when you defied the law, okay, when you threw the laws out the door, when you were an outlaw, yes, you wound up in the penal system, yes. So we know you wound up in prison for 6.5, 7 years. Okay, so what is that a representation of as far as you defying something and being able to realize some fruitful results? Yes, but tell us more, Coach. We're listening.
Like anything that would dare to doubt you, anything that would dare to like try to tear you down, defy. For real. And it's like that word there just carries so much power when we talk about the things that we've been doing, the physical representation of Jesus Christ and his tender love and his care, his precision, his accuracy, his devotion towards building you back up. It's like something that they say is like, just let that old thing, just fall down. Just let that old thing just like, become rubbish. Like he's not good enough. Like when Satan comes to Jesus and says, just let Tim just go astray. He's not good enough. When I'm 14, 15 years old, he's out in the streets. He's doing drugs. He's selling drugs. He's stealing. He's robbing. Like he'll never be anything. But then Jesus says, defy. And he says that I'm going to anoint him to defy the odds. I'm going to anoint him to be
All right, so Tim claims that he was anointed to defy the odds against him. Okay. And then, oh, by the way, for you woeful Tim worshipers, he's going to anoint you guys as well. If you're listening, he's going to anoint you. He's going to anoint you to defy those that offer criticism pertaining to what you can become. Yes? Okay, and so now, obviously, the only thing that he can offer as an example is himself. And so at this point, we have to question, what has Tim become? What has he become? Yes. Okay, so now at one point he was doing some ministry work. That failed. He abandoned it. Yes. At one point they had a walk by faith in Jackson. It failed. It floundered. They abandoned it. Okay. They hightailed it out of Jackson. Yes. At one point they were supposedly cultivating a farm. He abandoned that. Yes. What else? I mean, he had a kennel business. He had the porter hut business. What else? They have this supposedly up and coming resurrection camper home based business. Non-existent. Okay. Non-functional. Certainly non-profitable or unprofitable, I should say. Yes. And so what has he become? He's become a great pretender. Yes. And so who doubted that you could become a great pretender? Who doubted that? Yes. Okay. I'm not sure who doubted that. Yes. Now you have become a successful YouTuber. And I know at one point you said God told you that these videos were just as important as the ministry work. We know that you went ahead and said, well, forget about the ministry work then. We're going to focus on the videos. If God says it's just as important, then forget about the ministry work and we're just going to do the videos. Yes? So you have become a successful YouTuber. I'm not sure who told you that you could not be a successful YouTuber. Yes? But as far as the other things that you've attempted, any of the other schemes that you've hatched, okay, most, if not all of those have failed in one form or another. But okay. Tell us more, Coach. Tell us more.
Defiant when it comes to when people give up on him. I'm gonna anoint you who are listening to this video to defy any criticism that would say what you can't become. It's like there's this process of.
All right, so Tim finally acknowledges his failure. I'm sorry, one of his failures. Yes. And so he says this mobile home might not make good financial decision making. Might not represent good financial decision making. Might not represent good financial choices. Yes. Okay. And okay. All right. So I thought you were the financial mastermind. I thought you guys are the ones that were financially literate. Okay. So Tim talks about the fact that some people say, well, rather than wasting all that time on the siding, wasting the soon to come time on that porch, and then eventually encasing or enclosing that porch, rather than wasting all that time, why don't you guys just go out and buy a brand new mobile home? Yes. And of course, by that, they don't mean that it has to be brand new. It just has to be bigger, like as in a double wide. As in a double wide, yes? Okay, and so Tim is saying, well, if I did that, then I would just have a house. And he's saying this house represents more than just a house. Yes, and of course, we know for the boys, it represents a torture chamber. Okay, with regard to them being cramped in that living space. Certainly with them being crammed into that bedroom, having no interior room to play, no interior room for them to fellowship with each other. Yes. Okay. And so he's saying, well, we would just have a house and we would likely have payments. Okay. And okay, I'm like, well, not necessarily. Not necessarily. I mean, considering all the money that you spent on your equipment with that zero turn, that tractor, side by side, augers, cattle haulers, trailers. Considering all the money that you wasted on that, certainly you could have purchased a double wide Certainly, you could have purchased a double wide, supposedly debt free. Yes, it's the choices. It's the bad financial choices that you're making, Coach. But yet you guys are giving financial advice about financial literacy. You're giving advice. Yes. But tell us more, Coach. Tell us more.
Building this mobile home back up is like, it might not make good financial sense for real, like in the tangible realm, but literally, this mobile home literally changed our lives. You know, sometimes people will say, why don't like, all this money y'all have spent on this mobile home, all this time y'all have spent on it, literally y'all could have just went and bought a brand new mobile home off the lot. And we would just have a brand new mobile home off the lot. And we probably would have a payment plan. We probably would be investing into something that's like not building our family. It would just be a place to live. You know what I'm saying? But this home here, like, this is not just a house. This is not just a mobile house. This is not just a structure on our property with a roof and walls and electrical and plumbing and doors and windows and all those type of things. No, this is a place that the Lord has put in our life to where it's established. It has established more and more abundance. You know, the Bible says that Jesus comes to give us.
All right. Although Tim previously said that the house was a physical example of the tenderness of God, Tim, I guess he confused his thoughts. He mixes his objectives. Somehow his objectives get crossed here, and he's talking about, well, this is a spiritual example. Now the house is a spiritual. I thought it was a physical example, a physical representation. Now he's saying it's a spiritual. This house is a spiritual representation. Yes. But Tim talks about how God wants you to live life more abundantly. And he talks about how, you know, they're building up the house to be a place of peace and comfort. Comfortable for who? Certainly not comfortable for Timothy Jr. Yes. Okay. So comfortable for who? You forcing this porch on them. What kind of comfort are we talking about in that regard? And now he talks, well, it's more than just a house. And look, it's a 20-year-old house, and you know, it's going to be amazing. I promise you guys, it's going to be amazing eventually. And I'm like, okay, a year from now, that exterior porch may be completed. And then another year from now, it may be enclosed. And so you're talking about a 2-year cycle. Okay, you're talking about not just flying by the seat of your pants. We're talking about a 2-year wait for those boys to get some extra space, some true extra living space. Okay, 2 years. How is that abundance? How is that a representation of anything? 2 years? Okay, good gracious. Junior will be a teenager by the time you fully increase that living space. Okay, but you talk about, well, it's more than just a home. It's our business now. And I'm like, okay, how is it your business? Just because you do business within it while you're editing your videos, okay, while you're writing your scripts, while you guys are doing some of your rehearsals, now the house is your business? Are we talking about the YouTube videos? So maybe that's what he's referring to. Maybe he's talking about the fact that we shoot the footage of us working on this exterior for the next year and a half. Okay, and we are monetized, and those videos will be monetized, and therefore the house represents our business. Okay. Tell us more, Coach. Tell us more.
Life and life more abundantly is like, through the process of renovating this home, through the process of taking this place from just being a, 20-year-old mobile home to being something that's beautiful and amazing, a place that where we can like have peace and comfort and safety, and where the Lord can minister to us. Through this process, we have learned so much. It's like, it's more than occupying or renovating a house. Like, we have, like, our character has grown. Like, our financially we have grown. Like, this home has become our business. You know what I'm saying? It's like people love to see us working on this house. And it's like Jesus is using this house, this physical structure, as a spiritual example of what he's doing inside of us. Just like I said.
All right, Tim talks about how when he was 14 or 15 years old. Now, mind you, he went to prison when he was 17. So when he was, and he didn't discover God, he said he didn't discover God until he was like 19. But here he's, all right, he's trying to rewrite the history, yes? And I know you heavy Tim followers are just like, okay, go ahead and write it, Tim, write it. Tell us about what happened. Okay, even though you told us you didn't discover God until you were 19, tell us about how God was talking to you when you were 14 or 15. It makes for a better story, yes? But he says that, well, God told him that he was special. Yes. God gave him some kind of vision back then, yes? And Tim said, well, I'm not special. And then, okay, Tim, okay, he said, well, no. I said, I'm not special, but then again, children of God, Christians are special, yes? They're uniquely made, yes? They are special. And I'm like, okay, coach, what is it? Are you special or are you not special? But good gracious. So he talks about how he, God, I guess, anointed him to defy the odds, to be defiant of what others thought for him. Okay, what others thought that he could attain. Yes, and so we do understand that if God had whispered to him when he was 14, yes, he defied God. Okay, he didn't defy man. Well, he defied man by breaking laws. Yes. Okay, by stealing and robbing, he was defying, yes. By, committing violent crimes, he was defying man, defying the law of the land. But he defied God because supposedly God told him that, he was called to be special. He had a vision for him, supposedly. So you defied God, coach, at the highest level, yes. And you suffered the consequences at the near highest level, coach. But tell us more.
Said about me, this 14, 15-year-old kid that the Lord ended up giving multiple visions and speaking to, and I was going the wrong path. The Lord said, I see something special in you. And I'm telling you, I'm not special. I'm not special as a singular individual. No more special than you are. In other words, like we are all special, like in the Lord's eyes. And so he goes out of his way to take, some junk and to make it beautiful. He goes out of his way to take something that other people have given up on, and he defies the odds through us. As I said in the last sneak peek, or the preachable, I guess it's a preachable too, because I'm riled up this morning for real. So y'all hang with me. But he.
All right, Tim talks about defying the odds. Of course, we know that he failed at defying the odds. Yes, when he was incarcerated. Now we know that there is a certain recidivism rate for people returning back to prison. Up to this point, Tim has escaped that. Yes, up to this point. Yes, but now he has not fully escaped his ways. Yes, he has not fully overcome, or he's not fully changed his ways as far as his ways of deception, his ways of misleading folk, his ways of scheming. Okay. Coming up with different schemes and whatnot. So in that regard, there is recidivism out there at IAG Farms. I'm sorry to point it out, but there's definite recidivism, yes? Okay, when you still have some of your hustling ways about you, you're steeped in recidivism, yes? Okay, but he talks about defying the odds, and he's like, defying what people tell me I can't do. When somebody says no, I hear yes. I'm like, okay, because sometimes when you're told no, it's a good thing, yes? Certainly when God says no, yes? When God says no, don't waste 4 months on trying to partially complete a shed that's going to be ultimately used as a doghouse. When God says no, you said yes. Yeah, he said, yes, I'm going to build a doghouse. Okay. And then I'll get around to worrying about my mobile home. Yes. Then I'll get around to worrying about the education of those boys, the proper education of those boys. Yes. When God said no. Okay. Don't waste your time caulking in foolish little nail holes, bringing your mama over here to break her back, caulking that shed. Okay. Don't waste your time putting up siding on that shed. Okay. It went 2 years without siding. Yes. What's the rush? What's the need? When God said, no, don't do it, Tim, what did you say? You said, aha, I'm doing it anyway. When somebody said, and you say, well, when somebody tells you can't do something, aha, okay, then that means I'm going to try to do it the best it's ever been done. Yes. Okay. And I'm like, okay, Tim, you battling with the voices in your head. Okay. It's a losing battle. Okay, unfortunately, it's a losing battle. Yes. Okay, lean on God. Okay, but you battling and somebody saying, well, you can't do certain things. Well, who are the people that say that you cannot put shed siding up on your house? I'm sure there are plenty that says you should not. But who said you couldn't? Who said that you couldn't put up weather wrap on your house? You couldn't put up OSB. Who said that? Who said that you couldn't screw in a handful of windows? Okay. Who said that you couldn't take 4 months to fully get your house sided with that shed siding? Who said that? Now, we know people say that you should not. and we know when they say don't do it. I know you say, yeah, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do it the best ever that's been done. Yes. I'm going to put up the best shed siding that you've ever seen on a house in your life. Ever in your life. Yes. And I'm going to create the greatest, the most beautiful, the most amazing mobile home that you have ever seen. I'm like, okay, all right. Who are you talking to? Okay, you're not talking to the outside world. Because most of us have seen beautiful mobile homes. Okay, and it takes more than paint on some shed siding on your mobile home to make it beautiful or amazing. Okay, coach? But good gracious, coach. Wild and rambling, coach. I know you're trying to stretch the comment. I know you're trying to stretch the content, coach, but I can't take no more. I promise you guys, I can't take no more.
Is to take us and position us to where he can use us to defy the odds. And he says in his word that that's his desire, to take the foolish things of this world to confound the wise. The ones who think that they have it all figured out. It's like, just buy a new mobile home, because though it's like, and all we would have is a new mobile home and debt for real, and payments. But with this mobile home, it has literally become like so many things to our family. We have like the identity of it labels this season, Emma, establishing more and more abundance, like life and more abundance. All around the world, like people are watching us work on this mobile home. All around the world, people are being inspired by seeing what the Lord can do through somebody who has no like professional skills, but I have like some willpower. I have some willpower that the Lord has given me that makes it to where I'm defiant. It's like I will, like when people tell me no, I hear yes. When people tell me what I can't do, I hear you are going to do that and you're going to do it the best ever that has ever been done. For real.
Can't take no more. That's it. That's it for my reaction to that recent trailer, that IAG Farms trailer trash. Please like, comment, subscribe, chop it up in the comments. I want to shoot out some love to my current subscribers. Thank you for showing me that love. For those viewers that have not yet subscribed, please consider subscribing so that we can continue to shine that light. Until next time.